Let's go back to Kelenic. For his last 28, and a texter, rightfully so, brings this up. Paul, put your big boy pants on. I'm wearing shorts, by the way. Not acceptable at work? I'm not 100% sure. They're rather short, not quite dad short-esque.
We work in a pretty casual work environment.
Okay, Maura. Okay, that makes you feel better.
All right.
I was spoken to in the hallway with a raised eyebrow about it, and I'm like, yeah, but it's actually nice out. It's nice out today. I don't have to wear a jacket into work for the first 2 times this year. Anyway, the text continues. No one cares about my shorts. Don't be that guy who gets what he has been lobbying for, and then when it isn't immediately successful, criticize the people who gave it to him. And the criticism would be me saying I wanted Kelenic up on the Major League roster, that I wanted to see Kelenic in that leadoff spot. I did. I was intrigued by it, but I also thought he was going to hit. Maybe I was guilty of...
Well, you also admit on the regular that you have a little Veruca salt in you.
Yes, I want it now, number 1, Maura. And number 2, I am the most overreactionary follower of baseball. This is what happens when you are a football guy. You just tend to overreact to things and be a little bit less able to sit back, be patient, and let the whole thing play out. There's 162 of these. I mean, Kelenic's gone through 28 at-bats, but we've seen 2 moments, too, where we're like, oh, look at that. The text finalizes, you can handle this, and I think is trying to take some of the onus off Jerry DiPoto, off Scott Service. With Ty France now back in the lineup, that also changes things. You have better guys that you can put up at the top of the order, and I think because they're hitting so well, you had no choice but to move them up to the top of the order. I know Danny O'Neill on Danny and Gallant, our show earlier, check out the podcast, is someone who believes you just should be patient with him. And I get that line of thinking, but at the same time, if you keep putting him in that spot and you're a 500 baseball team, what does that say to the rest of the team? That development is more important than the immediate results? And that's a tricky spot that the Mariners are in right now, because development should be more important than, I guess, what ends up ultimately happening at the end of this year. But then all of a sudden, after a 5-game winning streak, you don't want to minimize that. You don't want to all of a sudden say, well, we're more about the young players that we think are going to be great, developing into those great players. You can't do that. Text in 710-710. You got to give Kelenic a break. This is only his 3rd week in the major leagues. He didn't play a game last year due to COVID. Mike Trout struggled his first year. It's going to take him a little while to get in the mix with things. I hope that the 6th spot helps him out. And honestly, earlier this week, if you were listening, I was advocating for pushing him back in the lineup. So I don't have a problem with them moving him back in the lineup at all. I'm starting to wonder if they maybe forced things a little bit too quickly. One texter, a lot of body language people out there, but I'm not going to lie. I sometimes subscribe to the idea that on the field, I can see if somebody has confidence or doesn't have confidence. The text, Kelenic is losing his confidence. I never thought that would happen. I can tell by his eyes and his posture. I don't know, though. This guy is one of the most remarkably confident young baseball players that I've ever chanced upon. Maybe a little different now that he's in the majors, because the last time that I sat down with him was in Peoria back in before the pandemic even happened. So different world that we're living in.